Hi, it's Roger Hamilton again with how to lead like a genius. Now that you found out your genius from the genius test, you'll find that as a result of having one of 4 types of genius, you have a natural way that you lead. And there's lots of books out there on leadership, but you're going to find many of them not only contradicting each other, but even talking about the weaknesses of leadership, like Steve Jobs, who's spending too much time on the task and not enough on the people, or Warren Buffett, who spends lots of time on the system, but not enough on the new creative ideas. And what happens is when we realize that we each have a different leadership, we suddenly realize that there's a way for us to do the natural thing for us to follow our path, whether it is at school, if you're at school, whether it is in a job, whether it is at a nonprofit, making a difference in the world. You have one of 4 types of genius. And following your one allows you to actually hold back on the criticism of other people saying, do it more one way or another way. And to be absolutely certain on the way that you should be leading, which is actually your natural way. Because I've seen a lot of people who've ended up doing the opposite of what they should be doing, and a great leader ends up crumbling. So first of all, let's just go through the different types. Dynamo genius has a type of leadership which is very much like Steve Jobs, and I'll come to what that is in a moment, which is very different from Blaze, which is more about the people. And that would be someone like a Jack Welch, who's also known as a great leader in a very different way, because he never created anything. He just led a big team. You'll have Tempo, which will be someone like, for example, a Warren Buffett, who's very good at timing, but doesn't have to worry about creating anything new. And then you'll have someone who will be more like a Styl, like, for example, a Mark Zuckerberg, who created Facebook, who doesn't have to worry about timing, or frankly, even about people, to be honest, because he's got such a strong system which actually manages all of it. So we're going to find that from whether you're a billionaire like any of those 4 people, or whether you're somebody who's actually really focusing instead on doing something to make a difference within a team. Following your leadership style allows you to do it so much more naturally and have everyone trust you and make sure that they are in your flow in the way that you want to be able to remain in your flow too. So first of all, let's just go through what the 4 types are. At the top, we have something called task-based leadership. And task-based leadership, at the top, someone like a Richard Branson, someone like a Steve Jobs, a Walt Disney, they are brilliant at being able to say, here's what our goal is, here's what we're aiming to achieve. They'll have other people leading the people. They'll have other people getting the details in place. And you can also do that in a small team, where you're saying, right, I've got to be the one who's focused at the strategy, because you're great at doing that if you're a dynamo genius. And that is very different from people-based genius, where the first thing that's important are the people. Are they okay? Are they happy? Are they motivated? Because sometimes someone who's a Blaze genius, they'll be focusing at what's good for the people, and it's not always the task. It may be something different. They might need to slow things down a little bit. So there's a time and a place when this leadership becomes more powerful. But most importantly, you've got to follow what's right for you. And then here we have something which is service-based or activity-based leadership. The people here will put themselves right in the middle of the action. All the market traders you know of, people in the retail markets, people in the medical field, for example, emergency services, they'll know at the end of the day they've done a good job, not because they created anything new, but because they got things done. And they had a list of the things they needed to get done, or they had the activities that showed up that day that they followed through with. And that's where they get their satisfaction. And then we have here Styl, which is data-based, which is all about the detail. And it's about knowing that you're measuring everything, and they'll always have different reports and different details that they're focused at as well. Each of these, by the way, they also have got a word you can use to focus at as a type of leadership. You'll find that at the top is creation-based leadership. They'll measure their success by how much they're creating new things, because there's always a measure to every leadership. We treasure what we measure. But here we have a different type of leadership, which is about communication. Are we communicating effectively? And then you'll have here consultation, which is, do we have everyone involved in the process? By the way, there's many people at the top who will be criticized for not involving everyone in the process. And there'll be many people at the bottom who will be bringing everyone in and getting a dialogue going that will be criticized for not moving fast enough or creating enough. So don't worry about someone criticizing you if that's your type of leadership, because it's a leadership which is natural for you, and doing the opposite feels like hard work. And frankly, you can't be doing both at the same time as the same person. You can have different people in a company or within a team doing all these elements. And that's when you create a really powerful team or a really powerful company. And then finally here, obviously this is calculation. And I've seen many people fail because they were brilliant when it came to people, and then they were having to go and measure and look at all this information, and it just made their mind boggle. They weren't so good in the numbers, they weren't so good in the data, and so as a result of that, because that's how they were going to be judged as a leader, they ended up failing. And I've seen many people on this side who are really good at seeing the detailed numbers, and then they get judged on how good are they with people, at being able to show up at the party, meet new friends, and they really find it really tough. But by understanding they don't have to be doing that, you have the opportunity to be able to put different people in the right leadership role. If you have children, if you have family members, where you're looking for them to be able to really feel like they have the ability to make a difference in the world, then ensure that they have got a way that they are set up for success, that you have them leading in the way that's best for them. And one final thing, this isn't just about how you go about creating a team where everyone can lead in a particular way. This is about the fact that everything evolves. Everything evolves through all 4 stages. Because every year, for example, we go from spring to summer, summer to autumn to winter. Every team goes through this, every relationship and every business goes through this as well. So there are 4 elements within a business in terms of any cycle, which will start with something called form, when you're bringing people together. And when that's happening, this person is always the best to be coming on board. Then you move to the second one, which is storm, which is where everyone now is finding their feet and working together with each other. This is where the person who is the people-based person is the best at leading. And then you move to this level here, which is something which is called norm, which is where everything now settles down. This is autumn energy. And the people here are really good at doing this, whereas the people up here will go back up to forming something new again. So the team will never settle. And eventually you get to this thing here, the 4th stage, which is called perform. It's like 4 gears in a car. You don't want to start in 4th gear. You want to allow yourself to move through each step, which means you might be in a situation right now where within your team or within your business or within your job, you currently are at a point where your winning formula, what was working for you, isn't working so well anymore. And as a result, it's time to have someone come in and support you and to lead in a particular way. Your leadership style links directly to your genius. And it's really easy, especially when we're leading others, to suddenly feel like we're not so smart anymore. But by using these 4 different types of genius and the 4 leadership styles, you can get yourself back to leading in a way that you should like a genius, and making sure everyone around you is also leading through their genius.